Today we are going to look at LibGuides, but more specifically we're going to look at subject research guides and class research guides. LibGuides is actually sort of a generic name for the whole product that we've built our library's website in. But using that product, we can make a very specific tool that makes it easier to find sources for students doing research. So on our library's homepage, in this white help box, you could choose Explore Research Guides. If you were to do that, you would be brought to a list of every subject that a student could major or minor in here at the college. For example, here's chemistry. If I choose one of those subjects, it's going to show me a list of all of the guides under that subject. The very first one in the list should always be the Start Your Research Guide. It begins with a little asterisk to denote that it's special, and this is the place where you can go if you're helping a student do research in a subject you don't know much about. You could start here, and it would make it look like you know more about it than you do, frankly. But also for your own research, if you were to come to one of these Start Your Research Guides, you could get quickly acquainted with a subject that perhaps you're not familiar with. I'm going to follow it, and you can look at it with me. And so the way it's laid out, and they're all laid out the same, whether it's biology or women's studies or English, is that they have a menu on the side, and the first page is called Quick Start. And these are the top 3 resources a librarian who is the most experienced in this subject has chosen for this guide. Each subject has a librarian assigned to it. So the chemistry librarian has decided that if you were going to start researching chemistry, these 3 things would probably be the most useful off the bat. One is an encyclopedic book, which gives a broad overview of topics related to chemistry. One is sort of the name in the field for chemistry scholarly articles. It's the American Chemical Society journals, and it's a link then to a database where you could search their articles. And then finally, one is an interactive website that lets you look at the periodic table of elements. So, of course, these 3 things couldn't answer all questions about chemistry. That's why this is just a quick start. If you need more information, over here on the side, there's a background information tab. When you go there, it's a list of multiple encyclopedias, both online ones, and then the call numbers for print ones that are over in the reference section. If you remember from your reference training, encyclopedic articles are really nice because they're short. They give you all of the simpler language, easy to understand, define all of the major ideas and topics in the field, and even give you bibliographies that you can go track down resources for. So it's a nice way to get acquainted with a topic. So yeah, these are often a good place to start, especially when somebody's working with something they don't know much about. Then they can move on to using articles. Scholarly articles, of course, are much more focused. They're written in the language of the field. Of course, they go through peer review. They have extensive bibliographies or works cited. But mostly, the most important part, again, is that peer review, where experts have chosen them as being, well-researched and robust. They've said that the writing is authoritative, and so this is sort of like the gold standard for research. Students are going to come to these databases to look for those kinds of articles. Among these list of databases, there's several here, a couple are selected as the very best bet. So the librarian in charge of this subject has said, these are all great databases where you could search for articles, but these 2 are the best. So probably you would start there with a student then, or for yourself if you were doing research. So yeah, this is where you would go to get articles, and you would search by either subject or keyword. Down here you have another route into the scholarly literature, and it's every single chemistry journal that we have a subscription to listed by title. So this can be problematic because if you go in here, then you're going to get a list, and I'll show you, of scholarly journals. Then you still have to go to a database where you can then search for an article within just that scholarly journal. So you can see it would take a very long time to go that way. It's not super efficient. But if a student has been assigned to look at a specific journal, then that's perhaps the best place to go. Okay, so that's find articles. Find books. Well, there aren't any actual books pulled out in here. We've just built in a link to the catalog. Even though you could get to it on the library's homepage or down in the footer of our, so I won't scroll down that far, down in the footer of this library guide is a link to the catalog. But we've put it here too, just to make it more efficient for you, frankly. Another option you have is to look at streaming videos in the field. These aren't loading while I'm recording this for reasons I'm not sure of, but this is actually a playlist of streaming videos in the field. You can see them down here. How to set up your chem lab, the chemistry of life, milestones in genetics. So these are really nice, high-quality documentaries about specific topics in chemistry. Or students can search here with a keyword, and it will look in films demands, and it will limit it just to chemistry videos, and they can pull back videos that way, which is really nice. Especially if a person is a visual or auditory learner, they might enjoy those more than reading dry texts. Every Start Your Research Guide also has a statistics section. People can go to look for data to support their subject. And finally, every one of these pages has a website section. So these are links to websites in the field, perhaps the professional organizations that represent the field, like the American Chemical Society, or this right here is an RSS feed, so an automated news feed that pulls in the newest articles, not scholarly journal articles, but just the newest popular articles, magazine articles, and newspaper articles about chemistry. Why these are valuable? If a student wants to know what's happening in the field today, this is a great place to start. If they don't know what they want to write their research paper about, they could come and look at the news links, and maybe that would give them a launching off point, a point of interest. So these are super helpful. Okay, so that is one way you can use our research guides. Now I'll show you the next. Going back to the library's homepage and to explore research guides. Now I'm going to go back to chemistry and show you the other option. Here it is, Chem 340 Biochemistry 1. So these are class guides. Guides literally made for a specific class section professor. So this guide would not be useful to anybody who was not in this class, but that's okay. This is really just for them, and for those students it's very useful. It points to specific resources they need to finish an assignment. So we build these at professor requests, and again we name them according to the name of the class. That way it makes it really easy for students to find them. It also makes it easy for you if you're at the reference desk and a student comes up and says that they're working on their Chem 340 paper and they think that there's some specific stuff they have to use but they can't remember what the rules are. You can always go and look in our LibGuides to see if there's a guide for that class, and that might be the best way to start. Every semester we build tons of new guides for 210 professors that link to very specific sources that they chose, because every 210 professor has a different focus. So don't discount this class guides. They can really help a student more efficiently. And that's it right now for LibGuides. Thanks.